Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel. Today I'm going to make my first ink review here on the YouTube channel. I already made some, but they are just written and photo reviews that were made on my blog. But now I think it is time to start doing them on camera because I think it's more useful and you get to see a little more of these with more variety. So, today I am reviewing this ink, Parker Quink Permanent Black, and let's see it. But first, if you enjoy the videos I make, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because it's really important. So, we are here seeing this old box of Parker Quink. This is an old one. I don't know exactly when it was made, but it was a time where there was made in black, blue, and red, and also royal blue. Then they joined the green and the brown, and okay. Well, there are some variations about it. This is a vintage bottle, but I find that the Parker is roughly still the same. I've used it in new bottles, but this is a vintage one and I really enjoy them. It is in a bad shape. It was in my former workplace. There was the storehouse where they had stationery for the employees, and these were there lost, and they told me, I asked once that I went there, I asked, what are you going to do with those inks? And they said they are going to be thrown away because nobody nowadays use it, and there was a flood there, and the packages were ruined, so they thought of throwing them away. And so I asked, please, I would take them if you are going to send them away. And I got them. Here it is, the typical shape of Parker Quink. And I got a couple of bottles and I'm using it. I like it. It's a safe ink to use in vintage pens. So, this is what I had to show you about the bottle. It comes inside these bottles, which are, where is it? 57, it's written somewhere, I don't know where. There. 57 milliliters, and it is also available in cartridges, both the long or the short Parker cartridges, or however, I'm not sure that the short Parker cartridges are still being made. Now, I've shown you the bottle. Let's now see some of the properties about the ink. First, I want to show you this, and this is the chromatography of the ink. I think you all know what chromatography is. We put a line of ink there, we touch this bottom part in water, and then the water goes up by capillarity and it pulls the ink away through the paper and separates the different dyes. So here we have that there is some ink, this is not a waterproof ink because most of it went there, but you can see it is somehow water resistant because there is a base, like in a bluish gray, that was not erased by water. This is the original line. It is faded, but it didn't disappear. There you have the most part of it, which is a bluish gray ink. Then it's not very saturated there, you may see, and then you have like a pinkish zone and then a yellow-orange zone, and after that just a green fringe. So it is a black ink that is made of several inks, including yellow, which gives this ink, in my opinion, kind of a warm color. Now, I will show you the swatch. This was made in, let me focus, to be sure. This was made in rhodia paper, and what I do is to put a drop of water there, and then with the blade of a knife I spread I said water, sorry, a drop of ink, and then I spread it with a knife, making this pattern, which shows how the ink behaves where it has less ink and where most ink accumulated. And you see there is no sheen, no particular properties of this ink. Even the black is not completely black, but I think it is black enough to be a true black ink. I just want to compare these with two other inks, and I have here the Montegrappa Black, and you may see that the Montegrappa Black, I would say, maybe a little bit more black in the darker parts, but it has a cooler tone. I would say it is more like a bluish, and this is more a warm black. And finally, I want to compare it also with the Aurora Black. This is a standard of blacks. Many people say it is the blackest black, but I think they are very similar. And even in the places where the ink concentrated more, I think Parker is more black than Aurora. However, in Aurora, in these concentrations, you may have almost a kind of a sheen, which is this reflection of light there, but it's not really visible when you write. So you have here the comparison of the three inks. Now let's go further into this, and I don't want to make this too long, but I just want to show you these next to how the ink behaves in other papers. Here we have the moleskin paper, and this was ripped from an agenda or a journal, or it is said in English, and you see it behaves quite well, although in some places, as you can see in this final dot, in this period, there is some feathering along the fibers of the paper, but this is a paper characteristic. And then there is some goes through and almost a bleeding through of this ink. Then we have here a sample on Oxford optic paper, which is a whiter paper, and you may see what I have here is the quotes of my favorite book, which is in Portuguese, just to fill something with ink. And you may see that the pen with which I wrote, which is the Grafon Faber-Castell Intuition Terracotta with a fine nib, looks finer in the Oxford optic paper than in the moleskin paper, which means that the ink spreads a little bit more in this moleskin paper, which I would say it is of lower quality than the Oxford paper. And now let's go for even another paper, and this is a copy paper. It is navigator paper, 80 grams per square meter, and you can see the ink here also looks quite black. I wouldn't say that it looks like gray, as you may see here on the wider here when it is less concentrated, but I think this is because it is a fine nib. Maybe if it was a broader nib, the ink may spread a little bit more and you have more of the grayish areas, I don't know, but I really think that it looks very well like this. In this paper, and I think this is quite a decent copy paper, you can see that there is some the letter is thicker, the line is thicker because the ink spreads a little bit more. Now let's go back to the other side of the pages. I would say this is a well-behaved ink because both in Oxford paper there is no bleed through, you can see some ghosting, but here on copy paper there are little spots, but then when you look at moleskin paper there are a lot of ink on the other side. Even here when I made this like kind of swatch, you can see there are more in these, a little less there, and there is no bleed through on the Oxford paper. Finally, I would like to show you the ink on the Rhodia paper, and here I made something additional, and let me zoom in. We have here the, sorry I can't put these straight because I'm hitting the tripod, so I had to put this at an angle, sorry about that. We have here the Parker Quink Black with Rhodia dot pad. It was written with this pen, which is the Grafon Faber-Castell Intuition Terracotta with F nib, and I made an experience with the drying time, and I made 5 seconds and then passed my finger over it and so on, and we can see it is ink that dries relatively slowly. So at 35 seconds after being written, there are still some smear, even though a lot of time passed, mostly here on the beginning of the commas where the ink is thicker, and this is a F nib. It's not a broader nib. And now we have here like a water resistance test. I made these lines and I put water on top of it, and then I let it soak a little, and then I took the excess water with paper tissue, and you may see that it is not waterproof because some ink was removed and there is this gray shading there and the line is much less thick there, but there is some water resistance, which is different. Then it's different from waterproof, because in the water resistance some of the ink is washed away, sometimes the color, but there is a baseline of black in some inks. In this case it is a gray line, but you can still read and see what I've made over the paper. And now, just to show you the ink in action inside a pen, and just let's do the famous phrase, and this is the first time I will do it on camera because I never do it. I just write some random things. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And this is the first time I do this. And you may see it is quite a black ink. It looks good. It looks very good on this nib. And I think this is one of my favorite inks. At least it's one of the inks that I use the most, is the Parker Black ink, because it's easy to clean. It's not problematic. It doesn't clog the feeds or whatever. It's a really good ink and safe even for vintage pens. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to press the like button and to subscribe my channel. See you next video. Bye.